Good morning, Magic players. Welcome to the morning show where we discuss all things Magic. Get your questions fired up. And also get those coffees fired up because holy crap, we've got a lot to talk about. Modern Horizons 2 is here. We got a full-fledged amount of spoilers to discuss. And also, we do Decklist reviews, so if you got a 75 you'd like some feedback on, don't forget, you can submit it to this channel, both myself and the community. We'd love to give you some feedback. So brew up your cups of coffee. Let's brew up some serious Magic this morning. Welcome to Coffee and MTG for May 21st, 2021. I am your host, Nikachu, the Merfolk Master. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I don't know if we should be calling it Fishdon Port or Merport. There's probably some like really cool names that we can give this damn thing. Anyway, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Fraser, Michael, Crazy, James, Jake, Aztec Guy, Lolly, Andreas, Thomas, Laugh at you, Grim, Ducky, Steven. Who's hype about Modern Horizons 2 spoilers? Everyone's hyped. We're all super excited. I mean, it was pretty. They threw out a bunch of juicy stuff at us. Some of it was like, I think some of that stuff looks overrated, but we're gonna definitely look at all of it, everything that's been revealed. Good morning, Ziegel, Frederick. Good morning, MTG Ectoplasm, Mikey, Jay, Thomas, Perry. Good morning, everyone. Maybe some questions before we we already got 100 people. All right, let's talk about maybe the not so amazing ones. Yeah, everything else here has been seen. Quick about Cabal Coffers. I think this is unplayable. This is strictly unplayable. This was just a commander reprint. I actually don't know if there's a single way that Modern can take advantage of this card. Like, if you put, for example, the deck should, in general, just have swamps in the deck to enable this thing. And if you have swamps, then for the most part, you don't have any utility lands. There are some lands out there. What's the swamp out there that also acts like a utility land? I don't remember. Is the one that draws cards? Well, this is the thing. I doubt it. I doubt it has time. Like, I doubt it has time. Cabal Coffers is just so ridiculously slow. Like, you have to wait until turn 4 before you get like to net any mana. No, but the problem with Urborg is if you're playing Urborg with Cabal Coffers, I mean, I guess you can. I guess it's a free roll. So you can play Urborg with Cabal Coffers, but it's just like, well, what for? Except to get hit by Blood Moon. You might as well just be playing with basic swamps, because that's what all it should be. Yeah, Castle Lothwain was what I was thinking. So you could throw some Castle Lothwains in here. So Castle Lothwain is definitely a card that you could put in such a deck. But like, what build would want this? It would just take absolutely forever. So I think this is going to be dead. I think it's just immediately dead. Oh, is Castle Lothwain not a swamp? Oh, you're right. It's not a swamp. It just enters the battlefield unless you control a swamp. So I'm a moron. I have no idea how you use this card, because if you're playing a bunch of non-swamps in your deck for utility, which you should in Modern, then you're going to need something like Urborg, but then you make the deck more janky when Blood Moon comes out. So I have no idea if this is... I think it was just strictly, okay, let's make some money off the commander players. This is how we make our money. It's a Modern product, but who's going to pay for it? We're going to make the commander players pay for it. That's what we're doing. We're going to build a great Modern set. We're going to make commander players pay for it. That's what they're doing here. I don't even know how much we should be going over, like, Usury Fortune's Flame. Flying 2/3 creature. 2/3 for 3 mana, not too bad in the air. Attacks, choose a number between 1 and 5. Flip that many coins. For each flip, you win. Draw a card. For each flip, you lose. Deals 2 damage to you. Well, that sucks. If you won 5 flips this way, you may cast spells from your hand this turn without paying their mana cost. Jeez. Anyway, we'll just move on. Okay, so we're getting a few exciting a lot of people are joining right now. Everyone's showing up. What are we going to talk about first? We want to talk about Rishid and Dakkon first? You want to talk about Grief first? Actually, this is also a really strong card, this Profane Tutor. This is an amazing card as well. All right, let's start with... Okay, Jojo says Rishadan Dockhand. All right, boom. Is this going to be the card that completely changes the Merfolk archetype? I don't know. Okay, first off, one mana, 1/2 creature. You sold me at that point, more or less, honestly. You know, a 1/2 creature with other words on this, that's fantastic. I don't have to worry about the stupid Lava Dart or Gut Shot or Plague Engineer wiping this thing off the battlefield. It's going to be more resistant to Walking Ballista. I am so insanely angry at how many like 1 toughness creatures we have. The fact that this is a 2 toughness creature with some extra upside is it's almost good enough. Now it's got built-in Island Walk. Great. We play Spreading Sea, so now we don't necessarily need our lords being on the battlefield to deal damage. Because there was a lot of situations where I don't want to attack when I have a Lord of Atlantis out, because I'm afraid they're going to bolt my Lord of Atlantis. But now I don't care. If you got an island, I'll attack anyway. It's a free roll. You got to kill the Rishadan Dockhand. Not to mention, there's a lot of situations where my opponent might have an island, but I have a Mare Reejerey. I'm buffing my board with Reejerey, and but I don't actually have Island Walk. I can attack easily with this thing. Let's talk about the tap target land part, because this is where it gets either great or really awkward. The tapped... This is a great ability. I'm not like it's a great ability. It's a very powerful, it's a strong ability. But how well can I synergize this with my deck? For example, if I play turn 1 Rishadan Dockhand, I can't play turn 2 Lord of Atlantis and still tap my opponent's land. You're getting what I'm saying? There's going to be a lot of situations where if I'm tapping out as a Merfolk deck, which we are pretty often, I don't have the option to slow my opponent down. Now, let's say I do want to slow my opponent down. That requires me not to attack, but also it ties up my mana. So if I want to stall, say, a Tron player by 1 turn because they have Expedition Map on the battlefield, and I don't want them to crack it for 2 mana the next turn, I have the option, pass the turn with Rishadan Dockhand, tap their land, pay a mana, but then that means I haven't dealt damage, I have not progressed my own board, unless I'm playing other 1-drops on turn 2. You got what I'm saying? Same thing with Aether Vial. I play turn 1 Aether Vial. I mean, I get this Rishadan Dockhand at end of turn, but on turn 2. But I don't know how effective this is going to be as something that taps down lands on turn 3+. Now, that is looking at this card from maybe an aggro Merfolk perspective. Now, let's say we want to slow the game down to make cards like Mare Reejerey better, to make cards like Master of Waves better. One of the largest problems, though, Master of Waves. I think the largest problem with Master of Waves is like 4 mana, and by the time I get to 4 mana, I'm dead. I'm usually dead at this point. Rishadan Dockhand actually might be able to slow the game down so that I can more reliably get down Master of Waves without being completely blown out. So there is advantages there. I think this is going to help. I have to play test this to see for sure. I think it's going to help against Tron decks, because you can tap lands at their upkeep. You can tap lands at end of turn. You can tap land, especially against... It's going to be great against Control, but the problem is against Control, I don't need the help. This will be fantastic against Control. Now, what else? In multiples, this might be deadly. Like with Rishadan Port by itself, you can't stack Port very well. Like if you've got 2 ports in play, you need 4 mana. But if you got 2 Rishadan Dockhands in play, you just need 2 mana. And I think one Rishadan Dockhand may or may not slow decks down by much. 2 Rishadan Dockhands will slow decks down for sure. You got 3 Rishadan Dockhands that might be even more powerful. Like, I mean, 3 Rishadan Dockhands, that might just take over Titan. You know, Amulet Type might not have anything to do if I keep tapping down the Karoo lands at upkeep. Oh, you have 4 mana there? Well, I keep tapping them both down with my Rishadan Dockhands. So that may be able to keep up the pace of those big mana decks. Now one other. So let's talk about. It's going to be good in the mid-range to late game decks for sure. I don't know how good it's going to be in the decks that are like really mana efficient. So we talk about like Death Shadow, we talk about Is It Prowess. It's probably going to be somewhat ineffective because I'm slowing myself down and it's not clear that this is even going to work. For example, let's say I tap a Death Shadow's Blood Crypt at their upkeep. Then they just Fatal Push this thing. They float mana, they kill it, and nothing really happened. So really what happened is I slowed myself down. They didn't slow themselves down at all. And they're just going to go about their game. So my one concern I have is this card is going to be, it's going to give us some win percentage in maybe matchups that are about even, or we're a little bit better, so we even get better. But in the matchups that are difficult and are like in the matchups where our opponents are very mana efficient, I don't know if this helps us at all, like at all. So it's going to come down to playtesting. It's a very unique ability. I'm certain it's going to be useful, but how effective this is going to be is going to be seen. One good thing is that the modern format is slowing down. We're seeing more of these Bring to Light decks come up. So this card is going to be so good in that metagame because when they are at 4 lands going to their 5th turn or their 4th turn because they have some sort of ramp, you can slow them down. You definitely tap their land down. You know they can't play Bring to Light that turn, and it will choke them on the critical turn that they knew they needed to stabilize. So that, I mean, it's got that going for it. Let's see how it shakes out. What is the best version of Merfolk that can use Rishadan Dockhand? Definitely. I mean, it's definitely better than like Benthic Biomancer, in my opinion. It's going to replace a lot of... It's definitely going to be some sort of staple. Hopefully it puts Merfolk over the top. All right, Grief. You hear that? Everyone who complains about Force and Negation, oh, Force and Negation's unfair for Modern, well, shut up. Just shut up. You got your answer to Force Negation. This is the answer to Force Negation. Force Negation now doesn't even do anything to the black spells. The interesting thing is this is just a strictly better Unmask. I mean, it's strictly better. This was just look at target player's hand, choose an online card from it. That player discards that card. What do we have here? Look, choose. Oh, you have to, choose a non-land card from. When Grief enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. So it's the same damn thing. The only thing is you can evoke it for exiling a black card from your hand. It's the same. The upside is you get a creature. You got a creature. Oh, you can unmask yourself in Legacy to put fatties in the bin. I see. That is the difference. This only hits the opponent. But still, I think for the most part, it's going to do what it's meant to do, and that is interact for free against the blue decks. Or even against any... Like, turn 1, you could, get your combo plan online, get your combo plan going, and additionally, strip the Grafdigger's Cage, Relic of Progenitus, Soul Guide Lantern, whatever from your opponent's hand. Their Graveyard Hate, whatever it's going to be. So this is like a snap instant staple in Modern. Just hands down is going to see play. Although I don't know which combo decks want to use this. One that's very easy, Living End. Living End would love this card. They've got a lot of black cards in their deck. In addition to that, this doesn't get hit by any Cascade spells, so it will just dodge it. And it goes to the graveyard, right? You're going to evoke it into the graveyard. It could come back after the Living End. So I mean, this is and it's got Menace, so it's going to be hard to block. It's going to be completely hard to block. Grief plus Ephemerate from Modern Horizons 1, 3 from hand by turn 3. I've heard of the interaction. I think it's jank. Remember, you lost a card too, so if you're just playing fair Magic, that might backfire on you. Remember, discarding stuff from your opponent's hand isn't like you want to attack the board, not what's in your opponent's hand. So if you're not going big with a combo, I think this Ephemerate into Grief is going to be really janky. I think it's very, very janky. And by the way, you only guarantee 2 cards. If your opponent kills this on turn 2, then your Ephemerate just dies with it because you have nothing to rebound next turn. Because probably the only card that was in play was Grief. So I think it's I think this interaction is Magical Christmas Land. It just sounds silly unless there's a whole deck that you can blink with Grief, and it's somehow really aggressive. Because otherwise, you already like 2-for-1 yourself to play Grief, right? Because you exiled a card. So Ephemerate is not really getting you back, and then in the end, you just have a 3/2 creature. Like, who cares? That's a 7-turn clock. Your opponent may not even care about this. They'll rip Death Shadow off the top and kill you. Or you filled their graveyard for their Tarmogoyf, you know what I mean? So I think Grief is going to be better positioned in a deck that's going to go big. You got to go big. Big combo. This dirtily garbage seems... I mean, you could prove me wrong. You can prove me wrong, but it doesn't make any sense. Getting the removal spell is still getting a card, but you can't remove what's off top of the deck. And remember, 7-turn clock. You give... But now, one thing I want to add here is combo decks would love to rip this off the top when they're in dire straits. Like, why not? Okay, let's say the opponent interacted with you perfectly, and they're attacking you down with, I don't know, some Bone Crusher Giant or something. And then you rip this off the top, and your opponent has no cards in hand. Play a creature. All right, not bad. It's great when your interactive cards just randomly can act as defense or even as offense. You know, there's a lot of games against combo decks. You just exchange a bunch of resources and both players are left with nothing and you're top decking. And here you just rip a 3/2 creature. You get in the red zone. You get in the red zone. What if blue incarnation is a misdirection? That would be really clunky because it has to be instant speed. Misdirection at sorcery speed is very useless. Now this card, I think... this is why they banned Bridge from Below. I bet they had the idea, the concept to evoke creatures in Modern Horizons 1, and they just decided, you know what, this mechanic is just not going to make this set. Let's save it for the next one. Because this, like, cards like this with Bridge from Below would be really busted, because it comes into the battlefield and then you sack it, and then you would get value. And then if you build a whole deck around these evoke creatures, well, I don't know about a whole deck, but like Bridge from Below, I can imagine a combo deck with Bridge from Below loving this card because you get the value from the evoke. You evoke the creature, it dies. You get the zombies while still interacting with the opponent. I know everyone they're just absolutely in love with this Ephemerate combo. I think it's jank. I think it's jank. I think it's a bad idea actually. You have to show me what the deck looks like in the end. I think it's jank. In my opinion, blue one could be a misdirection as flash. Maybe. Could be. It's possible. I am curious because I think I have to go look at one of my old videos. Hold on. Let's hold on. Let me go look. Okay, maybe I'll look later. Okay, let's we'll move on. Because I'm curious about the spoiled cards. What the hell is this? Timeless Dragon? This is 5 mana. Flying, plane cycling for 2. Eternalize. Exile this card from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of it. Except it's a 4/4 black zombie dragon with no mana cost. Eternalize only as a sorcery. I don't think... Okay, let's just move on. This is not a very good card. I don't think I'm missing anything here when I think it's crap. Okay, Profane Tutor. This is going to see play. Pretty sure this is going to see play. So first off, just being able to tutor for your card into your hand by turn 4, I think is within the time frame of Modern. Now, it's going to suck if you have to suspend this way later on in the game, but suspending it on turn 2 to get your card by turn 4 seems very, very reasonable. Yes, you have to see the replay. Gotta see the replay, people. I talked about it for hours. We started Coffee and MTG 3 hours ago. Just kidding. So Profane Tutor, definitely going to be a part of some sort of combo deck. Now, of course, like one of the obvious cards that might be able to abuse this is As Foretold. Whoops. I don't know about Yahini's expertise types of effect. Like, I don't like the idea of using a card to play a tutor to get a card like, for example, Electro Dominance. Let's look at Electro Dominance. If I'm playing Electro Dominance, I just want to play the win condition. I just want to play like the living end, whatever the bomb card is that I'm supposed to use with Electro Dominance. Otherwise, I'm just dirtling around. So I think that is it doesn't, I mean, I could be proven wrong. It doesn't look like this is what I want to do. Ooh, works with Cascade. Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is going to be a great card with Cascade. Well, I mean, in the right Cascade deck. We'll see. Maybe Shardless, what's it called? Shardless Bug could be a real thing with this card. But with As Foretold, you have access to all the 0 mana potential cards. Well, maybe it's not ideal. Maybe, but the interaction is there. The right deck needs to work with it. But As Foretold obviously can abuse this card. So at the very least, you can Profane Tutor and then immediately get your card, whatever the hell it is that you want. Looks like a very good playable. Search your library for a card, put that card into your hand. They're pushing black combo. And you think about it, we don't really have... I mean, we used to have black combo. I mean, I guess I could consider Grishol Brand as a black combo deck. I was kind of thinking some kind of Storm could use Profane Tutor to prep a big turn 4. I think the cost of adding black to your deck is too high. Maybe unless Tendrils of Agony is going to be in this set, maybe they're forcing Black Storm. Look, they got this card. They got this. They got this other card that could work with a Black Storm deck. They might be setting up like a Rakdos Storm deck in this set. My gut feeling is Tendrils of Agony is going to show up in this damn thing, or something to that effect. Silver Quill Silencer modern viable? Nope, it is not. Anyway, so Profane Tutor, good card. I don't know the. Does anyone else know what? Well, what else could this? This could be used maybe in what's it called? Inverter. Inverter could probably use this card. Look for Thassa's Oracle or the Inverter of Truth, and you're still comboing by turn 4 or turn 4/5/6. This could be a card that they want. But it's really important to see how clunky the take 2 turns off is going to be. Because playing this on turn 2 is not bad. Playing this on turn 5 might be bad, but we're going to have to wait and see. Yeah, you get the card directly into your hand without having to spend the mana at the same time. So that's going to be a very... This is... looks like a modern playable. Dakkon Shadow Slayer. My gut instinct tells me this is not playable. Or like it's playable, but it's not that good. 3 mana, enters the battlefield with a number of loyalty counters on equal to the number of lands you control. So I don't like that you can play this thing on turn 3, but you're just going to exchange it for another permanent. So they printed Vindicate. People are like, where's Vindicate? Here's Vindicate! Sort of. Okay, maybe it's not Vindicate. Vindicate. Okay, then maybe this is way worse than Vindicate because this just exiles creatures. But the point is, yeah, forget Vindicate. I take it back. I take it back. Well, the thing is, I forgot Vindicate hits the lands, which is like what makes Vindicate Vindicate. But the point is, you can't keep it on the board. And then if you want to keep it on the board, you've got to soak 4, 5, 6 mana into this card. I mean, and Surveil ain't drawing cards. Surveil is Surveil. Surveil is not very interesting to me. And -6, you may put an artifact card from your graveyard, from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield. I mean, how are you going to use it? Is putting what's it called? Blightsteel Colossus all that good in Modern? Is that where we want to be? Well, spending 3 mana to let your Planeswalker die is not on par with what you want to be doing in Modern. Like, when we're playing with things like Teferi Time Raveler, Narset, like we're keeping the Planeswalkers. We're getting value while still keeping our Planeswalker on the battlefield. Oh yeah, the Blightsteel doesn't even work. No, but you can put it from your hand. You can put an artifact card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield. So you got bow combos in there if you need to. But I think this is going to end up being... It might be playable, but it's not great. It's clearly... It's like... This is not like a slam dunk modern staple or anything like that. Maybe a niche deck is going to want this thing. I mean, okay, there is one other thing. Maybe a 3-color Urza deck could use this, because when Urza's on the battlefield, you at least get the option to, like, you know, Urza has plenty of mana available, so you could, like, put this thing to 8 loyalty, for example. And then the artifacts you bring back from the graveyard might be some combo pieces that Urza uses. But the thing is, like, you'd probably be using Emery at the same time, right? I think you'd probably be using Emery. Well, whatever. I'm not going to count this thing out. My gut instinct says not good, but you know what? Now that I think about Urza can make, like, basically infinite mana with all the artifacts on the battlefield. I misread the card. You may put an artifact card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield. Oh, sorry, you're right. Is equal to the number of lands that we control, not the okay, so, like, we can't use it with Urza. It's getting worse the more I look at this. The more I sit around. That's why I got you people here. Without all of you, I would have to face these comments in the comments section. Yes, it is not how this thing works. All right. Then my critique goes 2 thumbs down on Dakkon the Shadow Slayer. What have we not looked at yet? So we looked at everything at the top. Unmarked Grave. So if there's a good black mana deck, hey, is it possible that they could print Dark Ritual, but you can only cast instants and sorceries with it? Is that a possibility? Like, they're doing that, right? They're, like, modifying the old cards. And, in a lot, like, this is Entomb. This is like a fair Entomb in a way. But you can't even get you have to get a non-legendary card. So, like, no Grizzlebrand, not even Emrakul, even for a second. So anyway, this could be playable. This could be playable. I don't know exactly in what form. Like, for example, this would be good for finding, if you have a lot of mana, you unmark Grave, get Past in Flames into your graveyard. Like, this is what I'm saying, where they seem to be setting up like black-red combo. You know, you can, like, first you unmask your let's go back. You unmask your opponent with Grief. Then you Profane Tutor for, I don't know, your Unmarked Grave. Play your Unmarked Grave to get play a bunch of rituals, Unmarked Grave, Past in Flames, do it all over again. Oh, but that is one problem. Whoops, that is one problem. I can't Past in Flames the I don't think I can Past in Flames the Cascade spell. It has no mana cost. Could they print Stifle? Oh, they might print Stifle. I don't know how much I care about Stifle now, given this whole, like, given everything else that's been printed. So Unmarked Grave, very interesting. We're gonna wait and see. I mean, it's not Entomb, but it's for Modern, it's still pretty aggressive. It's still pretty aggressive. They announced all the archetypes they wanted to add in Modern Horizons 2 during the stream. I made an earlier comment about that, what they were. I don't think Black Red Storm is one of them. What are the you mean the archetypes for Modern or the archetypes for Draft? And my apologies, I don't know where your post is. MTG Undying Evil plus Grief. Red Green is Storm in the set. It's Green Red Storm for limited. See, like what? Let's see what they have here. Affinity Blue Black Self Discard matter. Oh, Self Discard matters. Madness Aggro. Storm, counters, reanimate, sacrifice. No, but these are the limited archetypes. This is not the modern archetypes. This is what you're gonna go for when you're playing limited. This has nothing to do with modern archetypes. So what I'm saying is, like, what are they trying to make in Modern here? Because I understand these are the archetypes that they're doing for Limited. This is what you're going to try to build around when you're drafting this set, but it has nothing to do with the archetypes that you're going to have in Modern. They can still put like Tendrils of Agony in this set to prove that they're pushing like a Black Storm deck, because they put so many other Black Storm cards. Do you think Slivers will... Well, I gotta wait to see if there's gonna be Slivers in the set at all. Okay, this card is either pure jank or is gonna get Manamorphose banned. Thrasta Tempest's Roar. It's a 7/7 creature. Spell costs 3 less to cast for each other spell cast this turn. Trample Haste, Trample over Planeswalkers, and Thrasta Tempest Roar has hexproof as long as it entered the battlefield this turn. So, okay, so first it's uncastable. It's a garbage card for its casting cost. Even if you play 4 spells in one turn, which yeah, you can with like a prowess deck, how the hell are you going to get the green? Like, the green is going to be the barrier to like really going off with this card. The simple as that. Like, if you can't, you can play all of the random spells you want for very cheap or mana efficient, in a mana efficient way. But if you don't got the double green, it doesn't matter. So you have to build like a prowess deck, sort of with the green mana in mind. Now what I am saying, however, so it is spells. So there maybe we can see elves make some use out of this if they can chain. So it's like, but is it really that if you have 1 million elves in play? Maybe it's not maybe it's not worse than Craterhoof Behemoth, because this is easier to cast when you have very little mana, but your elves need to stick. So this is like an elf card, but your elves need to stick. I'm just curious if a Manamorphose deck can break this card. There's probably better, it's probably way better for elves, assuming their creatures don't die. And their creatures have to not die. Oh, that is an insane idea, but you need enough cards still. This Burning Tree Emissary decks are always super high variance. Dual Knight, that's the problem. You can't just throw this in an Is It Prowess deck, because if you don't have Manamorphose, then this card is stuck in your hand. It demands Manamorphose. Like, you absolutely need it. This just crossed my mind. Maybe elves with Manamorphose would play this, because that would give them an extra card that they could play for free. And Manamorphose is basically free, while like playing some elves at the same time, because it's not unrealistic that they'll have 3 mana by turn 2. So they play Manamorphose, they play another elf. They might need Heritage Druid to make this work. If they have Heritage Druid, they could probably get this out very early. Really hard to kill. I mean, if this is on the battlefield, it's over, right? It's over. If you can get this out on turn 2, it's probably over. Like, there's nothing that kills this except Path to Exile. Maybe Red-Green Prowess. Oh god, you're right. Mox Amber. Maybe Death Shadow will play this. Is that crazy? Could Death Shadow play this? Play like... They play like Mishra's Bauble, Lightning Bolt You. They have 3 mana. I don't know. Play 1 more free spell. And then play a 7/7 Trample Haster. Or maybe an elf deck with Bauble and Manamorphose. Alright, we'll see what happens. Maybe this is the next Hogak. It's the same damn thing. Where the mana cost wasn't really restrictive at all. I will say, I will absolutely not be happy about seeing this on turn 2. I mean, it would just absolutely destroy me. I mean, like, is it possible someone just makes a deck that's like, it's like Cheerios, and they have a bunch of green sources in their deck, and then you'd be so scared they play like Forest Go, and then you know they're gonna go like Forest. I don't know, Mishra's Bauble, Mox Amber, I don't know, some other random 0 mana card, Thrasta Tempest Roar. Enjoy. Because you just need to play 3 random spells. It doesn't need, it could be creatures, it can be artifacts, it can be anything. Well, mutagenic growth, so this is good even in a regular green-red stompy with mutagenic growth and burning tree. Those cards only get you so far. Like, you remember, you need like 4 spells in 1 turn. So a stompy deck almost never does that. I mean, maybe you could get 3 free spells on a turn because you're a stompy deck, so maybe you'll have 3 mana by, you know, whatever turn. So you only need 3 free spells. Oh yeah, maybe. Hey, the more we look at this, the more dangerous this gets. Maybe Affinity can play this. Maybe Hardened Scales Affinity can play this. Or maybe not Hardened Scales, but like some sort of Affinity deck playing green. This would be terrible if Affinity played this fucking card. This would be terrible. It'd be awful. Oh my god, I don't even like thinking about it right now. That'd be so bad. That would be so bad. Infect switches plans. John says Hidden Herbalist. What about it? Oh, you also, yeah, Hidden Herbalist is the other copies of Burning Tree Emissary, so that actually increases the chances of going off with this. So is there an Affinity deck playing 4 Burning Tree Emissary, 4 Hidden Herbalist, and then this Thrasta Tempest Roar card? I could totally see that being a deck, by the way. I could totally, maybe this is going to bring 8-whack back. Maybe an 8-whack deck with like Gut Shot and Mutagenic Growth is possible. And then you can pump it up with your Goblin Bushwhacker and Reckless Bushwhacker. Maybe this is possible. Okay, so I thought this was going to be garbage. Now we talk about it. There are so many different shells, so many possibilities. And remember, Modern has a bunch of free spells to its name. This will be disgusting to face down turn 2. I mean, it's like, it's basically, oh, it's going to be basically GG. Either that or you ramp the opponent. And especially if you have that sort of Bushwhacker build, I mean, you'll still die to the random Herbalist and Burning Tree Emissary. It's mythic for a reason, that's right. All right, what else do we got? Flametongue Yearling. So they didn't print Flametongue Kavu. Interesting. Because Flametongue Kavu would have been a really interesting card to put into Modern. To be like a 4/3 creature. I think it's a, maybe it's a 4/2. What is Flametongue? I can't remember the toughness. I think it's 2. Flametongue, the Kavu are back. The flame. I want to see the OG art. Get this old garbage out of here. Okay, so when Flametongue Kavu enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage to target creature. So they printed a smaller version. I don't know if there's going to be a deck good enough for this. Like, this is a very annoying ability. I'll say this much. It's a good card. It's a great card. This is a very, very good card. It's basically it's like Stomp, except you get the creature immediately. You know, so it's in the same category as Bone Crusher Giant. And it can scale, of course. It's got the multi-kicker when Flametongue Yearling. Maybe, oh, sorry, I didn't even read the card. Double red 2/1 creature. When Flametongue Yearling enters the battlefield, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature. This is the exact same thing. Look, it's just a baby version. Did they get the same person to... No, they didn't. It's like identical. Maybe a slightly different posture? Whatever. But when the Flametongue Yearling enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each time it was kicked. So basically you can, the bigger the power this thing comes into play, the more damage it can deal. It's his son, Nikachu, that's right. It might find its way in Panza. I mean, they do have quite a bit of mana. By turn 2, you could get a 4/3. You could get, sorry, you could get a 3/2 in play that deals 3 damage. I don't know if Soul Herder wants this card because they would just deal 2 damage. You can't multi-kicker after it's been in play. Adult head, baby body. Yes, like a cartoon. Oh, I don't know if this is the greatest interaction, but that is true. You could put this thing into play with the trigger on the stack. You buff up your mutagenic growth. Sorry, buff up Flametongue with mutagenic growth. So I think, so my verdict is this is a good card. I don't know who wants this card. Like maybe Ponza, but they already have good cards available. Maybe it can replace Bone Crusher Giant. Maybe. I mean, it's more mana efficient. It is 2 spells in 1. Enters the battlefield, kill a creature, leave a body. I guess that's the only difference. Bone Crusher can hit face. This thing cannot. What do you want? You want hit face too? What do you? How greedy is chat? 4 Manamorphos, 4 Hidden Herbalist, 4 Burning Tree, 4 Burning Tree, 4 Signal Pest, 4 Memnite, 4 Ornithopter. Looks like we've already built a deck for Thrasta. 4 Goblin Bushwhacker, 4 Mutagenic Growth, 4 Gut Shot, 4 Thrasta. You know what? There is a deck very similar to this already, and it's Goblin's Affinity. Maybe Goblin's Affinity will come back, but with Hidden Herbalist and Burning Tree Emissary. That sounds like a deck. Like what you just put out there. Turn 1 Signal Pest sounds like gas with the rest of this. I guess the only problem is you still have to play your Memnites and Ornithopters on turn 2. It'll still be a terrible top deck. But in a deck like this, you're like, you're all or nothing. No guts, no glory. Kavu isn't amazing off Bloodbraid. I don't think that's true. I think it's pretty good off of a Bloodbraid. I think getting a random 2/1 that can deal 2 damage to a creature is not bad, because it interacts with the board. It's like getting a creature and an interactive spell. I can't remember what was in Red-Green Eldrazi. It was Eldrazi. It was Noble Hierarch. There was that red Eldrazi where if you... I think you kicked it and you stole somebody's creature for a turn. I think it was like a 3/1, and then if it had like a 3-mana kicker and you steal your opponent's creature and you can attack with it that turn. Something like that. Imagine you build a deck full of garbage to achieve a 7/7 turn 2, and then you win. Oh, but it's mandatory. When Flametongue enters the battlefield, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature. Oh, this sounds terrible then. Because, like, what if this is the only thing that I can even play? Deals 4 damage to target creature. It has to deal the damage? It has to deal the damage. Assuming there's a target. So this is all of a sudden terrible. Yeah, that's a really good point. You have to target something. Well, you have the option to, like, I mean, you can target your bigger creatures. I mean, it's only 2 damage. Hopefully you have a Bone Crusher Giant that can absorb it. But my only problem is if I on an empty board, I can't really play this unless the multi-kicker... Oh no, the multi-kicker will never be large enough. It'll always kill it. Well, you can decline to play it off of Cascade. Okay, we're gonna have to wait to see what happens with Flametongue Kavu. Or Flametongue Yearling. Okay, what do we have not looked at yet? I think we looked at everything. So some people wanted me to talk about Dockhand again. We could talk a little bit more about Dockhand. We can talk a little bit more about the Death and Taxes aspect of this, because I talked about it for Merfolk. Death and Taxes might use this. Death and Taxes has been on the cusp of going blue-white for years. They want to go blue-white. They got some things going for them, but they're like, it's just not enough there. There's just not enough there to splash a whole color. But now, with Richardson Dockhand, maybe that's what pushes this deck over the top in that direction. So it's totally possible that we're not going to be the only Merfolk deck. We're not going to be the only deck playing this card in Modern. And I heard the biggest gripe about this card is that it's not a pirate. And I guess technically, this guy might not be a pirate. He's just a dockhand. He's not stealing anything. Hey, that's legal stuff. That's my stuff. You people are discriminating on this merfolk. You think this guy's a thief? What's wrong with you? Just because he's got a big treasure chest on him? No, he's just a honest sailor. That's all. He's just an honest sailor. So it's a merfolk. For everyone who joined late, I will give you the long. I'll give you the long story short on what I think of this card. It's either going to help merfolk slow the game down to place things like Master of Waves, but there is the ability is powerful. It is very, very good, but it is not very useful against the mana efficient decks like Prowess, Burn, for example, or Death Shadow, because when you tap their land, they'll just use the mana to destroy this creature, so they don't actually lose anything. And there is some... there's one... Okay, so there is some clunkiness between I want to tap out to play my Lord of Atlantis and attack, but then if I do that, I can't tap lands. And then if I tap my opponent's land, slow them down, I slow myself down. But slowing myself down might be worth it if I can get to the higher end of my curve first before my opponent does. And another thing, this card might be awkward with Counterspell. If I'm tapping my opponent's lands at upkeep, then I don't have mana up for Counterspell. They'll be like, okay, well, instead of playing a 2-drop, I'll just play another 1-drop, and then I'm sort of behind here. Now, I do have the option of just passing the turn and doing nothing. We don't have to tap lands at upkeep. You can tap lands at end of turn. For example, and like I said, this is going to be really good against control decks. But for example, against control, let's say they have 4 mana up for Cryptic Command. Okay, before end of turn, I'll tap one of your lands. Now you can't Cryptic Command me, or you better Cryptic Command right then and there. He's not a pirate because he doesn't sail. Interesting. Some people might know the lore better than me. Let's read the flavor text. It's not hard to find work in Rishida, so long as you've got a strong back and don't ask too many questions. Interesting. Now, I want to look... I'm going to quickly dig for my spoiler video on YouTube. I have a theory. Sorry about that, everyone. Just waiting for some ads to go through. Just quickly looking for something. Okay, this is what I was looking for. I was just curious if there was a pattern here. So this was from my video. There was this random list of cards that might have been printed into Modern. Stifle, Standstill, Hymn to Draw, Crop Rotation, Shardless Agent, Crop Rotation, Shardless Agent, Cunning Wish, Wirewood Symbiote. Okay. First, I couldn't remember if Rishadan Port was on here or Unmask. Anyway, I was just curious. I was wondering, because I hear that people sometimes find spoilers. Like, some people know about spoilers ahead of time because they have translators tell them. Like, for example, translators leak things. So they write the translation and then they get an idea, oh, this card is getting printed. And then, but that translator might have mistranslated something to other people. Because here's the thing. Let's go to MTG Stocks, for example. I just want to give you like a random theory of mine. So here's my theory. Some translator told somebody what this card did. There's a card that spends a mana and you tap target land. And then the person was like, oh my god, they're reprinting Rishadan Port. All right, let's get the foil Rishadan Ports. So they got the foil Rishadan Ports. And then the actual card comes out. Oh, oops. This is not actually Rishadan Port. It's like a Rishadan Port, but anyway, they work off of those pieces, random pieces of information. So anyway, that was this is just a theory. Who knows? Maybe Rich and Import is still on its way for Modern, but I have a feeling this is. I don't think they would print this effect twice in the same set. How would Rishadan Dockhand combo with Mirror Regery? Great question. I would attack with the Rishadan Dockhand. I would play a creature, untap my Rishadan Dockhand, and then tap your stuff at your turn. That's how I'd probably combo it. Yeah, that'd be this huge surprise Pikachu face for the speculators. We heard they're tapping lands for 1 mana. It has to be Rishadan Import. There's nothing else that does that. Ah, crap. This was the card? What are we gonna do with these? Rishadan Imports are thousands of dollars now. What are we gonna do? What do I think about the built-in Island Walk? It's a great bonus. It's gonna help. Yeah, Prid3 on Reddit leaked Sanctum Prelate as the promo counterspell, predicted the evoke creatures and stuff. Yes. Well, he was once. There was a source actually earlier than him that said this stuff too. The unique things that Prid3 said was Counterspell and Shardless Agent. There was a source that predicted the Buy a Box promo earlier and also the Evoke creatures. So I'm assuming there's still Shardless Agent coming in this set. I'm very strongly assuming. Magus of the Port would be interesting. Well, you know what I would like to see? Give us back to basics on a merfolk. Or any blue creature. Magus of the back. Or back to Magus. I don't know. Spencer Ward. Roar of the Wormfoil from Odyssey is like $35,000. Oh, I gotta see this. I love how like stupid these prices are. Yeah, you're right. $35,000. Yeah, the prices on here are totally meaningless. Yeah, Magus of the basic. Magus of the basics. That could be the thing. That could be a name. It's such a weird name though. Magus of the basics. It sounds like you're talking to stupid people or something. It's the Magus of the basics. He is the king of the basic. Yeah, fundamentals equals the basic. I don't know what else is there to say about this thing. You're going to have to see the replay for the full opinion on Rishadan Dockhand and the rest of them. I think that's about it. Oh! Force Negation. The Force Negation is getting a reprint. Like, it's actually not really getting reprinted. It's going to be in the collector booster boxes. So don't expect the price to collapse. This is not going to be like a collapse. Like, if the price does collapse, get your fucking Force and Negations while you can. If the price collapses. Out of like fear that it's getting completely reprinted. But this is not going to be a heavy reprint. It's only going to be showing up in the collector booster boxes and in very small quantity. And those collector booster boxes are expensive. They're very expensive. But this is cool for anyone who wants the old style Force Negation. Will it be rats or ninjas in Modern Horizons 2? I don't know. Just look at the Time Spa Remasters reprint. That's interesting. Is this less money than the other ones? That's bizarre. But this was more. I think it's slightly higher. I don't know how much more printed it was over everything else. That's interesting. I want the old Chalice, and it caught. I mean, according to this price, it's less than like a Masters 25, or even Modern Masters version. Anyway, that was my only thing. This is not going to crash the prices. If it crashes the prices online, like what's it doing to the prices online? Let's get to MTG Goldfish. I got a shortcut here. Excellent. Let's look at Force of Negation. Price history for Magic the Gathering Online. It's pretty stable. If anything, it just went up for some reason. Pretty stable overall. That is a stable card. I guess not everyone cares about the old border. Yeah, I know. What's up with that? At least not right now. What is the Merfolk God? We don't know. Still waiting for it. All right, everyone. You know what time it is. Do you know what time it is? Deck list review time. All right, everyone. If you want to get your deck list ready for deck list review, go into my description. Join my Discord. In my Discord, there is a channel called Deck List Review. There, you can submit your deck list using the command !review deck space. Give the URL to your deck list, and you'll be eligible at random for deck list review. Yeah, though. If you got some Dak Fadens in there, or I guess not. I guess Dak Faden is not the only Dak out there now. We got Dakkon out here. I love this song too. This is my like favorite song now. This Pokemon. It's called Pokemon Sun and Moon Apparel Shop. I'm just really into this song. This should be the official song for deck list review. This is just a scam. I'm just sucking up all your brews. I don't want to think for myself. I want your ideas. Bring me more ideas. Get these ideas here. Yeah, well, and you know, maybe people have brewed new things today based on what they've seen, because now they know that things like Unmask are going to be like going to be in the set. Well, you know, Unmasked. Okay, so as we wait for people to submit their deck lists, we're going to thank our sponsors, starting with FusionGamingOnline.com. Deal of the week this week, 15% off all Mirage, Visions, and Weatherlight singles. I'm going to say 15% off. And if 15% off isn't good enough for you, because for some reason you want more, that's okay. I got you covered. And you can get an extra 5% off in addition to that 15% off if you use coupon code Nikachu. Supports the channel and just gives you a great deal. Not to forget, you can pre-order Modern Horizons 2 singles and sealed product from Fusion Gaming, although the sealed product is only exclusive to Canada, Canadian local game store. But yeah, Modern Horizons 2. Wonder, they got Force of Negation up here already? Just out of curiosity. Nope, they don't have the new Force Negation yet. All right, we're also going to thank this is the wrong one. Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. This is definitely the way to play all your brews. Every deck you got. I mean, you're going to have ideas when Modern Horizons 2 comes out. You don't know which ones are going to work or not. You don't want to commit to cards. I mean, hey, you don't want to buy into a whole Thrasta Tempest Roar deck and find out that it's just pure garbage. Try it out first with Mana Traders. See if it works and you want to buy into the real thing. You can support the channel using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save 15% off your first 2 months using my coupon code Nikachu. I like the plane cycling for Dragon for Living End. Would it work? They don't use white mana very much. I mean, I guess you could make a white splash. Did we get an MSRP reveal? No, not that I know of. All right, deck list review. We had 600 people show up today. Only 33 people show up for deck list review. Same number. Murray Sias, congratulations. You are the next contestant on deck list review. Okay, so what do we got here? Okay, Orzhov, Grief Blade. People are already throwing those Grief decks at us. So the new card, Grief, we know what it is. Basically the unmasked card. But this is exactly the type of deck I don't know this is for. Like, do you want to play with Grief, or do you want to play with basically Thought-Knot Seer? So this is a deck people are proposing. Now, maybe it can work with like Skyclave Apparition, because you now have like a little bit more value here to Oh, I don't know if... Okay, Blinking Tide Hellsculler is fine, because if you do it with the trigger on the stack, you get the card for forever. ETB, target opponent reveals their hand. When it leaves the battlefield, return the removed card to its owner's hand, but if you blink it in response to the first trigger, then they don't get anything, and then they're going to just lose a card for eternity. Well, maybe this is going to be the best shot at it, and I don't mind you blinking Stoneforge Mystic. Dark Confidant is not a good blink target. So you would have 15 cards in this deck that you can blink with Ephemerate. With so much hand disruption, what is this going to do against Burn? You're going to go get Batterskull. You beat them down, and you get yourself some life there. I still am pretty strongly a strong believer that Grief is going to show its place or shine the strongest in a combo deck. Because if you're going to try to play this fair... Well, I mean, maybe playing this fair stuff isn't too bad. 4 mana to, like, you know, rip a card from your opponent's hand. Still not bad. I mean, it's basically Thought Not Seer, right? It is basically Thought Not Seer. You know what? I'm on board with Grief in this sort of deck. Because you don't need to exile anything immediately. I mean, you have the option, I guess, if you do. You have the option if you want to, but you don't need to. This deck 100% needs Eldrazi Displacer. Okay, yeah, that could be true. You constantly blink with Skyclave Apparition, and they get tokens. You can still blink the tokens, and then they lose it. I like that idea. So what are we getting rid of? Maybe I don't know about Dark Confidant in this deck. You know what? This is not a Dark Confidant deck. This is not... You have 3 mana cards. You have 4 mana cards like Grief. You have the Kaya's Guile. You have like Batterskull. This is not a good Dark Confidant deck. Dark Confidant will kill you. So maybe replace this with Eldrazi Displacer. I have a feeling you want to have, what's it called? Giver of Runes in here instead. But I'm not entirely sure. Wasteland Strangler only works if you're exiling cards from your... Oh, I guess we have enough exile cards. Skyclave, Tidehallow. I'm not sure. Jay Ryan says, that list looks really close to Legacy Dead Guy Ale. Yeah, so what's the differences? Do they play Dark Confidant in their Stoneforge package? Just want to look at a random list. So they do... Okay, they do. They just do. Batterskull, Swords, Fatal Push. But the rest of this deck is really mana efficient. But it's not that mana efficient. It's actually... You know what? It's actually pretty high on mana. It is worth trying. It is just worth trying. Oh, by the way, thank you very much for the super chat, Jay Ryan. I really appreciate it. So it's like... It is almost the same. So don't... Is there Unmask in this deck? I guess not. Okay. Don't change a damn thing. If anything, play more Dark Confidant, apparently. What is different? They play Sword Splushers, Fatal Push. They have Dark Ritual. That is a very big difference. Went 5-0 only. Holy crap. My instinct says Dark Confidant doesn't work very well in Modern. There's a lot more burn. There's a lot more removal. So when it works, it's usually probably not going to work. But whatever. Go for it. Go for it and try it. You should probably try to put in a black card for Grief, right? What about Tide? Tidehallow Scholar. I can't remember. Is this a black card? Or an or is it a colorless card? But you have black cards. You have Dark Confidant. You have Liliana the Veil. You have Fatal Push, Inquisition, Thoughtseize, Kaya's Guile. There are black cards in this deck for Grief. It'll work. Can you do it with Yorion and we will have more cards? It's possible. It's possible. Can you evoke and blink in response? That's the point. So the idea is you play the Grief with the trigger on the stack, you ephemerate, then you get another trigger, and this thing has rebound, so you're going to get this thing one more time. So you get to hit 3 cards. If everything goes according to plan. If. It's also possible that your opponent goes land go, you get this thing into play, and then you try to ephemerate it, and then they fatal push it in response, and then you get nothing. Or you actually get to take 1 card from them. And you 3-for-1 yourself. Of course, you probably are more likely to do it when they're tapped out, but still, it's and even if it goes off, I'm not confident it's like the most amazing thing you could do. Okay, Nihil Spellbomb, Path to Exile, Collective Brutality, Fracture, Rest in Peace, Fulminator Mage, and Kai's Guile. Alright, run the deck! Run the deck as is. I have a suspicion Dark Confidant is not what it is in Legacy, but try it out. You never know until you try. Aside from that, I think the deck is relatively solid. How many creatures do they play in Legacy? Not much at all. Jeez, almost nothing. All right, sweet list. I don't really want to outside of that. I don't really want to change anything in the list. I just want to wait and see how good this combination is, and this is a pretty good start. All right, so let's go to another deck list. Oh crap. Okay, no. Okay, we're gonna quickly do one more. I have to get vaccinated today. I gotta go. I'm getting my first shot today. I see all these people on Twitter saying they've got 2 shots already. I'm like, I don't even have 1 yet. Everyone was eligible for a shot except really healthy people. Young and healthy people. Nikachu, is there something that could bring Lantern Control back to life? It is back, actually. Someone made a Wurza deck in a Wurza/Lantern deck, made it together at 1, and it looks like it works perfectly. It just doesn't have, it just has 5 zeros right now. Just has 5 zeros. Take care of yourself and mind the side effects. I'll do my best. This music, the memories, the nostalgia. We had great childhoods, didn't we? Okay, Rally the Zombies. Budget main win condition is Rally the Ancestors. Oh, God. Okay. See, Rally the Ancestors is always like the first card I try to cut from decks. I'm like, hey, this is only like, it's only good when you're losing. Return each creature card with your converted mana cost X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Exile those creatures at the beginning of your next upkeep. Exile Rally the Ancestors. So you're really all in on this card. How many lands do you have? You only have 20 lands for a deck that's trying to get to 4 mana. Because you want to get to 4 mana, right? I mean, maybe you're fine at 1 mana, but I think you want to get to 4 mana. So for that, you need like 22 lands in this deck, or your Rally the Ancestors is not going to be that great. You have Carrion Feeder, Corpse Knight. Oh, that's one cool thing, I guess. I mean, if you have 3 lands, you can sack everything to a Carrion Feeder, play Rally the Ancestors, and then re-sack everything. Sorcery? No, it's an instant! That's actually pretty good. Because because it's an instant, you can attack with everything, see how your opponent blocks, and then make the appropriate sacrifices, and then Rally the Ancestors. So we got Corpse Knight. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life. Okay, that will work out very well. Doom Traveler. When it dies, this is the closest to an Aristocrats deck I've ever seen. Gravecrawler, Stitcher's Supplier. Okay, that will help feed the Rally the Ancestors. Undead Augur, Vasir Seer, and Zulaport Cutthroat. Whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. This is great. We gotta cut something though for more lands. 20 lands is just not gonna do it. And I'm not suggesting to put in Aether Vial because this deck might require like the actual mana. And also, is there any consistency to this deck? This is a human rogue ally. Okay, we're not putting Cavernous Souls apparently. Got human soldiers mixed with zombies. There was Return to the Ranks too. Yeah, but I think it's worse than Rally the Ancestors in this case. Return each creature card with converted mana cost extra less from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's great. No, if you have too many rally effects, you'll screw yourself over. I think it's better that you have few and you try to win with your creatures, and I'm pretty confident you can do that. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life. So usually these effects are terrible, because if they kill this creature, you get no value. But at the very least, you have the option to rally the ancestors later in the game, because you get to return all of them. Can you run Lurrus as a companion? I guess so. So, I don't know what we cut in the main deck. I want to keep all the sack outlets. That's going to be very important synergy with Rally the Ancestors. I'd prefer to keep... You could cut maybe 1 removal spell, because you don't want to have... I don't think you ever want to have more than 1 in your hand. Or maybe I'm wrong. In Modern, you do. What's the format? It's Modern, right? Yeah. Yeah, you called it an Aristocrats. Main win con... Maybe Stitcher's Supplier could be cut, like a few, not all of them, like a few of them, because you have a lot of 1-drops anyway. You've got Carrion Feeder, Doom Traveler, Gravecrawler, so you gotta cut. You'd probably be fine cutting some 1-drops. Maybe it's Stitcher's Supplier, or maybe you don't need Undead Augur. Like, this is value, but I don't know if this is synergy. So Undead Augur, I'm like, but maybe it's good. Maybe it's good. How many zombies do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 is probably enough. There's a huge need of Vanishing Verse in the side to deal with Rest in Peace and Ley Lines, probably. Yeah, so we could have that instead. Well, they got the Fracture, right? I think Fracture is fine. You could use Vanishing Verse for Heliod. Oh yeah, there is Lurrus in here. Lurrus is in the sideboard here. So I think that's the only concerning thing is you got a deck with 20 lands. You're gonna be choked on mana. You may not even need that many more lands, 1 or 2, but like enough so that you can get Rally the Ancestors off. And instead of Caves of Koilos, well, you probably should not be playing with this card. You shouldn't be. Oh no, but you said your budget. I was about to mention some Horizon lands. For a budget deck, this is gas. Like, this is a great budget deck. This is great on a budget. This is very, very good. Yeah, just add some lands so that you can play your Rally the Ancestors on curve. Would Tyler the Scholar be good in there? Could you sack it at instant speed while the ability is on the stack? Yes, you can. I don't know if that's the great... I mean, you might as well be playing, like, you know, a Thoughtseize or Inquisition at that point, but yeah, that is an option if you really want to. Because you can look at... With the trigger of looking at your opponent's hand on the stack, you sack this thing, and then after you sacrifice, you look at your hand, it gets exiled, but the creature's never there to be removed later to put the card back into their hand. Sideboard, you have your own Leyline of the Void, 2 Fracture, Diacide, 2 Deafening Silence, a Dark Blast. I think the Dark Blast probably could be something better. There aren't many -1. There's not many. You'd probably be better off with even just Disfigure or something. You know what I mean? Something other than Dark Blast. This is not very good in this deck. I know you want to maybe dredge cards into your graveyard, but I still don't think it's worth it. You might as well just have a better better proactive sideboard cards. If you have Lurrus in your sideboard, you might as well be also using as graveyard hate something like Soul Guide Lantern. Maybe you need this. I don't know what your experience is against graveyard decks, but you should team up with Pleasant Kenobi to try and develop a Merfolk and Taxes list. It's possible. Fracture hits Fracture hits Grafdigger's Cage where Vanishing Verse doesn't. Great point. And all the other artifact graveyard cards. Soul Guide Lantern, Nihil Spellbomb, Relic of Progenitus. This guy knows what he's doing. Okay, sweet list. Add some lands so you can consistently cast your Rally Ancestors. Otherwise, you're going to be choked on mana pretty often. 20 lands is not a lot of lands. You need to curve out in Modern. If you don't curve out, your opponent will and destroy you. All right, that's it for Coffee and MTG. If you want to see the replay, this was the biggest Coffee and MTG ever. We had over 600 people watching the show. If you came late, want to see the replay, get my much deeper opinion on Merfolk and the other Modern Horizons cards, check it out at my alternate YouTube channel, Nikachu MTG Streams. And if I didn't get to your comments, questions, or deck list, I know there was a lot of comments and stuff. I couldn't get to them all because we were talking too much about the spoilers. Whoops, that's the wrong button. I am still here, Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. If you love Coffee and MTG and you would love to support the show and you are not already, you can leave a sub at twitch.tv. You could become a patron at patreon.com/Nikachu MTG, or you can hit the join button on YouTube. These are all great ways to support the show. And as usual, thank you very much, everyone, for showing up today. It was a great day. Modern Horizons 2 didn't hold anything back. They're pushing the heavy-hitting cards. Some of those cards, who knows what's going to be the next Hogak? I have a feeling that that stupid green creature is going to be a huge pain. There's going to be some problem with that card. We're going to have to wait and see. By next Monday, we're going to be seeing a lot more Modern Horizons 2 stuff start rolling in, and Coffee and MTG is going to be really exciting for the next week to come. So keep brewing up those coffees, and we're going to keep brewing up magic. See you guys next time.